Howdy folks, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to talk about the Yamaha HDR receiver versus the DENON HDR receiver and which one's better. Yamaha receivers and DENON receivers, you can't go wrong with either one of those. As far as to which one's better, it's all dependent on your preference. They're both good in their own way. Now, it depends what you're looking for. I'm gonna talk about the certain models on the Yamaha, the RX-A1060 versus the DENON AVR-X4300H. They're pretty much comparison in price, and they both say they do HDR, 4K. And I'm sorry I don't have any pictures to show you. I just have this gameplay or whatever in the background. But anyways, sorry about that. So roughly right now, the particularly the Yamaha RX-A1060 it's selling for $11.99, and the DENON AVR-X4300H is selling around $14.99. But you can find the DENON for this model. You can find it for around $1,200 or less if you shop around online. So that's why I'm gonna compare these two, because these are the two that I have personal experience with. I own the 4300, by the way, and I used to have the Yamaha, also the A1060, and as well as a lot of other DENONs I own too, but we're just going to particularly talk about these two. Now, the Yamaha RX A1060, if you're going to choose that over the DENON, just know that most likely your 4K HDR, it's not gonna pass through to your TV that has HDR, most likely, because I couldn't get it to work. But and I know that the DENON, the X4300, it does support HDR, even though the Yamaha says it has the 2.2 HDCP or whatever, but it doesn't do it. Sound quality is great on the Yamaha. I actually prefer the Yamaha sound quality over the DENON. It's something about the Yamaha. It's just I don't know. It's amazing. But it didn't do the HDR support, even though it said it has a 2.2 HDCP. So I had to upgrade to the DENON AVR-X4300, and between them two, the DENON, the best. I tell you the truth, right? I've had experience with a lot of brands, Onkyo's, Harman Kardon's, you name it, and each one have different setups and different tweaks, and it depends on to your liking, your ear. But I do know for every DENON that I've owned, and I've owned more than 6 DENONs my whole life, and I know that DENONs, okay, if you plan on buying a DENON, and I know, the DENON, the 4300 is a 9.2 receiver, and the Yamaha, the RX A1060 is just a 7.2 receiver, but the sound, I'm comparing these two because they sound very similar. Now, most brand receivers, high def and 4K audios, typically it doesn't matter what type of speaker setup you have, you want to run every speaker small, and then you run your LFB, just the LFB without the main, and you want to run it around 80 hertz. So that's the ideal sound for THX or whatnot. and that works with the Yamaha, that works with the Onkyo, and it works great because it pushes out the hertz to the speakers, and it sounds great, and it sounds deep and rich. But as far as all the Denons, from my experience, if you plan on buying the Denon over the Yamaha, you have to understand that the best way to run a Denon, from my experience, you have to have large speakers. You have to have at least 4 large speakers running, 2 large in the front and 2 large in the surround rear and left, surround left and surround right. And you want to set your surround, the bass to LFE plus main, and then around 80 hertz, and then turn on your power subwoofer, turn down you turn your hertz to all the way to like 40, down to 40, and your volume may be like a quarter way up, and depends. You can work with that, but typically that's where you want to set it at. So I'll say it again. On the Denons, you want to run your front left, front right, your surround right and your surround left. You want to run those 4 speakers on large, if you have a large, and then you want to run every other speaker that you have, the center, the surround back, the front height, the left front height, right, surround back left, surround back right. You run all those speakers on small. And then you can work with your hertz, whatever hertz you want, and typically you want to run the lower hertz on the large, and then the higher hertz on your small. I recommend 80 hertz on the small, and I recommend like 40 to 60 on the large. And by running large plus main, and your 2 front and your front left, front right, and your surround left, surround right on the Denons, I don't lose any bass. I get all the thump, and I get the deep, rich sound that you would expect from a speaker. That's what I find about the Denons, and also you can tweak the input source level, higher if you don't get the sound that you need. But and the Yamaha, you don't have to tweak it as much. You can set everything to small and run everything at like 80 hertz for the bass, and then 80 hertz on the small speakers, and it'll sound great. It's Yamaha. It's one of the best. Now, that being said, this particular model, for the HDR Yamaha RX-A1060 with HDR 2.2 HDCP support, it says it does HDR and Dolby Vision and all that, but I don't think it supports HDR 1000 or HDR 10, because I cannot get that to work. I'll get the upscale to 4K, and I'll run Dolby Atmos, and I'll run like DTS:X and everything, and it sounds great. But it did not. My TV, I have the Samsung, the HDR Samsung KS8065, and it tells you if you're running HDR or not. And when I plug that into the receiver, when I plug it through the receiver, it did not. That HDR did not show up. But when I run the Denon to the TV, it pops up like you normally would if you just do a direct connect to the back of the TV. Sum it all up. Your Yamaha HDR receivers, as far as I know, from the RX-A1060 model and down, it doesn't seem to support HDR. if you don't care about HDR and you don't have HDR,
We're in the lead.
I recommend this Yamaha. Now the Denon, as far as the Denon AVR-X4300H and up, I know for sure they do support HDR, and I'm pretty sure the lower models do too.
Nice work. Well
And
done.
you can never go wrong with a Denon either. And now it just depends on your preference. I particularly like the look of the Yamaha because it reminds me of my old Harman Kardon, the old technology. The black ones, like way back in the old days, all black. I still use it to this day over all my other high def receivers, my Onkyo high def, over all my other Denon's high def. I still use the Harman Kardon back in like 1999. You know, I still love it for one of my smaller rooms. So sorry about the rant. I just wanted to let people know that as far as the receivers go on HDR support, for sure the Yamaha does not support the HDR, the 2.2, even though it has 2.2 HDCP. But the Denon's, they for sure do support the HDR. So thanks for listening. Have a great day. I'll see you guys later.
Kill for the UNSA. Make them remember Blood Anvil.